right, we are back, and my camera is angled horribly. Let's try this again. That is zoomed in way too close to my face. I look terrible. Let's fix this. But hey, guys, we're live. Last week, I missed the live, unfortunately. Missed you all. And it was only because I was at BPCon. I'm wearing the t-shirt today. I actually had some takeaways from BPCon, but first, I'm going to share a story from the field because we had a very exciting day. I've shared this many times on the channel, but we have had legal battles, which I remain undefeated, by the way. It helps when you are right. It also helps when you have equal or more money than your opponent. But we've had legal battles. We've had floods. God knows we have had floods in some of our buildings. I've shared some videos from that, especially the Robin Hood. We've seen some crazy ones, burst pipes, freezes. We've had hailstorms. We've had squatters. We've had drug issues. We've had just about everything that you can deal with, which happens when you manage 1,000 doors and own a little over 400. We finally had a fire. I've shared this a million times. Like, we've never had a fire. Knock on wood, but it will happen eventually if you own and manage enough units. So I'm here laying in bed. I get a call. Just a second. The Instagram people are telling me that we're apparently not live yet. There we go. Go live on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. They're here too. All right. So we get in. I've been dealing with a bit of a cold, so I've been snoring lately. So to get sleep before I go to Stephenville, I sleep on the couch so that I get undisturbed rest before I go out early in the morning. At 3 a.m, my wife busts open the doors. She goes, "Hey, property management's calling us." So here's what I get told. Your building's on fire. You've lost one of the fourplexes. It hit a gas line. There was an explosion. No one's hurt, but we have to put the tenants in a hotel. This is 3 a.m. I'm sitting there being like, "Are you kidding me? What do you mean we lost a building? How do you lose a building?" So I go down there expecting to see a crater in the ground where our building used to be, and lo and behold, our building's still standing. In fact, let me see how I can share a screen on this. I actually have a video I was just looking at of our damage that I took when I was down there. Let me see if I can do the old share screen maneuver here. Share screen, allow, entire screen, share. All right. So I'll play this video to see how this works for us. This is my Google Drive. So this is from yesterday. This is the building has exploded fire. Now the fire department rips out the ceiling. So that's not even from the fire. There's just smoke up there. Look at that. Structurally, we're perfect. Barely charred, like lightly on one beam. The light fixture caught fire, lots of smoke damage. They lost a musical instrument. I think a pretty expensive musical instrument, unfortunately. And all of their pet food melted. And of course, the fridge caught fire. See if I can unshare that screen now. That might be a little bit better. There we go. Stop screen share. There we go. We're back. So the fridge died. They had just done a Costco run, so they lost all of their groceries. They lost one French horn, which is a bummer, and they lost their cat food. The total bill from this, I thought it was going to come in closer to $20,000. It will be just under $5,000 of damage after we paid $1,000 to the city inspector to come in and recertify the electric so we can get in there and start rolling. So it's still a decent fire, right? I mean, we had very legitimate. There was a fire in the unit. There was an emergency. We did take the family out and put them up in a hotel. I was there in the morning, talked to the tenant, talked to the contractor. By 11:30, we had the power back onto the unit. We had teams out there. The city has approved us for fixing the electric. We're going to have to get one more inspection before we repair the drywall. They want to test for asbestos. I'm not worried about it because there's no asbestos in any of these buildings, and it was built in 2006, which is after we used a lot of that anyway. So we will be just fine. Now we just have to get rid of that smell. So we're going to rip out the rest of the drywall. We'll rewrite drywall, retexture, repaint after that electric is fixed, and it will be like a brand new garage. But I was told you lost a building. It turns out I lost a garage. So all things considered, not too bad. Also, our on-site manager, I was already going to be down there that day. We were letting go of a staff member, unfortunately. Sometimes it just is not the right fit. That was one of those cases. If you guys saw my short form content this week, we then got chased from the property by one of her relatives. So that was fun. She handled it like a champion, though. Very respectful, helped us reset locks, keys, getting the laptop. She was very kind. Her family was not as happy about her firing. So this is why it is good to have a 6'4", 250-pound contractor on your team. They kept kept the angry family away from Caleb and Christian while we skedaddled out of there in my truck, and that ended the Stephenville excursion for yesterday. So overall, drop in the bucket on a 76 unit, and yeah, crazy stuff. Lessons from this. Then I'm going to get into lessons from bigger pockets, and then I'm going to answer questions. So, by the way, this fire was actually very close to the gas line. So while it didn't blow up, we were other side of the garage is the gas line. Had this not got caught, we actually could have had an explosion. So I'm grateful it ended up the way it did. The lessons from this: one, this is why we have an account that has a renovation reserve. So we have our repairs and maintenance set aside. We have a property reserve, an actual operating reserve budget. And then we raised all the closing costs to close the deal. If you can't raise all these and start with a fully funded account, this type of stuff can happen. If you think that you're going to fix your deal out of cash flow, and I see this all the time, people are like, I'm going to raise just enough to close. If you raise just enough to close, and then you have a fire, then you have a flood, then you have mass move outs, then you have a drug problem in your property, any of the things that can spontaneously break out at your property on a new acquisition, and it eats your cash flow. Now your cash flow is going towards that, not renovations. Without renovations, your occupancy goes down. Without occupancy, your cash flow goes down. Project fails. We see this all the time. The only way to do a deal, if you have renos, start with the money. If you don't have a reserve account, you need to have one. On a large property, 1 to 2 months total expenses is just fine. This is a 76 unit building that we're talking about. On a smaller property, like a 25-plex, 2-3 months total expenses in reserve puts you in a good spot. If you're talking small properties like a single family house, this can wipe out your cash flow for over a year. You need to have a healthy reserve for anything that could feasibly happen. A minimum, even on a small property, minimum, you need 25 to 50K sitting in the account. If the deal doesn't work without those numbers, you haven't negotiated a deal yet. You've negotiated a ticking time bomb. You're going to have to borrow less money or borrow cheaper money, which means lowering the price or getting more aggressive on your terms. Now for BPCon, I had 2 takeaways. This actually came up on our multifamily strategy mentorship call yesterday. We had, I thought, one of my favorite calls in a long time. We had 15 deals brought to Deal Deep Dive. And so for a little over 2 hours, underwrote those deals. Right before we got off, someone asked, hey, came back from BPCon. What'd you learn? I actually had 2, I thought, fairly profound takeaways. One was personal, one is practical. Practical. Chris Voss was the day one speaker. His book, Never Split the Difference, is one of the 5 books that sit on my shelf directly behind me, always on camera. There's a reason for that. It is a fantastic book on negotiation. This was a good reminder for me. It's not about getting to yes, and people are addicted to that micro transaction. Get them to say yes, get them to agree on you. If someone's just agreeing with you on everything, like every time you say something, oh, yeah, I agree. They feel like you are selling them, and we're trained for this. Find something they don't agree with. Get them to say no. Get away from the micro agreement. It diffuses the tension there. You can actually watch many times when you're negotiating. If you can get an authentic no out of someone, you can see the tension on their face loosen. You've now given them permission to agree with you because now they're not getting sold. They're not doing this micro yes transaction thing. And so that was a good reminder for me. And I did work it into a couple other meetings. And I was like, oh, that's right. It's the little things. It's the getting to a basic no. And it can still be an affirmative no, by the way. Like sometimes when you're asking questions, hey, would it be ridiculous if we insert this idea here? Talk creative finance. Hey, would it be ridiculous or would it be offensive if we came to the seller and we asked one more time for seller financing? No, I don't think so. No is much more powerful and prompts more action than getting a yes. It's a good reminder for me. Getting over a cold. Give me a second. We're doing it live. Second one, I actually had a great conversation with David Green. David Green, if you don't know, was the host of Bigger Pockets podcast last year. They did a cleaning of house where they also gave me a call and let me know that the multifamily brands like Christian Osgood and Pace Morby are no longer going to be featured as prominently on Bigger Pockets because they're rebranding to small units because you, the consumer of Bigger Pockets, are more likely to attend their events and buy their books if you have less rentals. So they want people to grow slowly over 10 years instead of rapidly over 2 or 3 years. So a lot of the bigger, more aggressive strategies are moved from Bigger Pockets. And as part of that cleaning of house, Dave and Rob were axed from the channel. Dave has also had some huge business struggles since then, very publicly. And I had a great conversation with him about just interacting with others, about podcasting. And he just talked about a ton about the need for humility. And he talked about being at the top and getting humbled in business and then getting back on top. He talked about a couple other podcasters, and it was a good reminder for me how important it is, regardless of your level of success or where you're at in your business cycle, to stay humble. Because at some point, if you don't stay humble, you tend to get humbled, and that can be a very painful lesson. So that was a good word from David, I think, that we can all take. Of many of us will be up at some time, and when you're up, stay humble, because when you're down, you're going to need more allies. And that's a lesson that he learned that I think we can all learn from. So let me go ahead and dive into the questions. It's great to see quite a few of them. There we go. I'm back on my own stage. I got booted from my own call there for a second. See a couple of ads in here, which is kind of weird. But let's take a look. Oh, actually, not too many questions. If anyone has questions, go ahead and ask them. Lots of comments here. There's just on the fire here. That's crazy. Well, yeah, I know. Not the reason that we fired that particular employee, but par for the course with overreacting and not accurate information. All-nighter. All-nighter. Great investor in his own right, by the way. Reserve held in physical by physical PMs. Bitcoin want to avoid tapping into either. The things with reserves. So what I like to do with reserves per property is I will put a reserve with property management, which in Texas I own PM, but they'll be in the property management account an assigned reserve, so that the operators of the property and the day-to-day, my property managers, my on-sites, they can pay for bills and coordinate contractors up to a certain amount. So if basic stuff happens, we have reserve in the account. In additional, I leave the rest of the money in my LLC accounts. Any money above and beyond that, you should have invested and employed somewhere else. If all of your reserves are set up, and on your personal level, you can do the same strategy, by the way. Have 6 months reserve in cash available on hand in your bank account, or physically if you're not even a bank person, but have your money available to you. This is a great thing to do. After that, you don't need to hold more money. You should be trading all of it all the time for income, because you buy assets, your income goes up, it stays up, it regenerates even faster and faster and faster every time. Plus, those new assets get their own reserve accounts. And what ends up happening is globally, you have a boatload of liquidity without putting too much of it in the same place, and continuing to do a great job of deploying your capital so that you can send those little soldiers out and they can go bring back prisoners in the way of more money, which you can send out again and have it bring back, you guessed it, more money. But you do not get to do that if you don't have these reserves. You end up having to feed the beast again and again and again. And this is where you see, and we can all, I think all of us who've been in real estate for a while know people like this. They're really broke rich people. They're equity rich, cash poor. And every time they have a project, it eats all of their money. They never get ahead. They never hold liquidity. Work that freaking reserve. And by the way, all-nighters cash poor at the moment. I'm very familiar with being cash poor. It is nice when you have the reserves. I had the reserves. I had a event come up where I had a couple of partners face some financial hardships. They were purchased out of the LLCs. The first time I ever saved $1 million, I had to buy them out for $1.4 million. I had $1.35 million of that. All the liquidity gone. Now, granted, I got a lot of equity, and I now am the sole owner of the Robinhood again, plus a whole bunch of other projects. But to do so, it came at huge personal financial cost. I was able to do that because I had the reserves throughout enough accounts where I was able to pull in money. I had a couple of buildings I'd seller financed. I reached out and had people buy those notes at a slight discount. So I accelerated my accounts receivable. But if you have these assets, you have these deployed monies, and you have saved money, $1.4 million hit to your personal financials when you started this adventure in 2020 with $10,000 is unbelievably scary and painful and uncomfortable. However, even the richest, you go from cash. I'm, by the way, not the richest. Maybe $6-7 million net worth if we're being generous on the hospitality arm of the business. When you are doing these type of deals and you're building some amount of net worth, it's amazing how fast you can move from being super cash heavy to super cash poor. Those reserves are king. No other questions for today, which works for me because I have a boatload of editing to do here. We are ripping out some updates. So I'm going to update everyone here who's part of the Multifamily Strategy family, who's followed the podcast for a while, who's just here hanging out today. One, school community is getting some massive upgrades. So we have about 2,000 people there. You are more than invited to that. That community is growing every single week. It is completely free. We have free calculators. More importantly, deals, community, lenders, brokers. It's becoming something truly amazing. In Multifamily Strategy, we're rolling out regional leads. So we're going to have 5 new employees who are coming on who are going to be helping coach. Christian doesn't get any extra time off, but helping coach the Thursday calls. So when we have 15 to 20 deals, we can be underwriting 5 at a time. I can hop between rooms, consult, keep everyone moving so I don't tie everyone up for multiple hours. With regionals, we are going to be starting in 2026 our regional meetups. I will make it to every single market in the country next year. So if you guys want to be part of this community, you guys want to start connecting with people in person, not only do people in the Multifamily Strategy mentorship get a monthly virtual meetup and get to hang out with more people within their region, get additional coaching, I will make sure that I make it to every single region of the country at least once. In Dallas, we're going to be hosting either at Manhattan Project or possibly at Marty B's Barbecue. I will host the Dallas one myself, but very excited to start to grow this. Our biggest goal is community. So the best thing you can do, other than just show up at the community or join a free school, share this, invite people to the lives, ask great questions. Because the more people who are aware, the bigger this community gets. And there's a ton that we can do on creative finance and creative equity structures to where everyone can buy a deal with or without money. So thanks for joining today. I appreciate all of you, all-nighter. You rock. I'm glad that you're here. And I know I haven't seen you in every single one of these lately. I'm back to the normal schedule. End of month, you will see the live going from the Bahamas because I decided I can go there for 10 days and my business will still run. So I'll see you guys here next week, Bahamas the week after, every week, same time. See you on the next episode.